Hello everyone, we are back on our channel and today we are going to talk about NPTE, the license procedure, and we have back with us Mansi and Akhila. Thank you guys for doing this with us again. So go on guys, up, it's all on you.
Welcome,
Nice.
guys.
Okay, so for job application process in United States, you have different credential bodies. One of the most famous credential body that we know is FCCPT, that is Federal Commission of Physical Therapy, credentialing in physical therapy. And what FCCPT does is it will evaluate your um, academics that you have in your foreign country to the US standards of practices. So FCCPT has something called as CWT, or a coursework tool. Uh, so they have basically just two evaluation process, that is educational credential review, that is ECR, or your ECR, which will be having the older CWT models. So let me just tell you what the CWT is. CWT is basically a coursework tool, which means that it is a guidelines of general and professional credits. General credits is basically your general education, that is maybe physics, biology, and even in your bachelor's degree you do get general credits, like when you're reading electrotherapy you have some physics, but is that physics accounted for in your syllabus which you're submitting to United States? Is that would define that you're getting that credit from that syllabus, as or that credential review that your university is submitting. So this coursework, the CWT 6, or is the latest coursework guidelines which FCCPT has released, and this has almost around 110 to as high as 200 credits requirements. And this is happening because the field of physical therapy is improving so much. New technologies have been added in recommendations have been added. So US wants that the foreign educated candidate should also have this much standard to enter into United States. So a plus or a happy note here is most of our Indian universities, especially I think so MUHS, has good programs, and they have most of the professional credits and clinical hours that they complete. But some of the deemed universities might not have all the prerequisites, and sometimes it even happens that the university might teaching you some course but not adding in your syllabus, and that would not accredit or credit for, you would not get that credit for your academic verification. So there is unfortunately there is no rule, a thumb rule here to go about this. We have to submit all our documents, and then you have to wait for your academic verification. So how it works is that if you go to the FCCPT website, I can just go to the next slide. If you go to the FCCPT website, you have to open a file, and that is very state specific. Once you open the file for a particular state, you will have academic credential verification form. You fill that form, you have to submit all the documents. Of course, you have your ETS or WES body, which would be converting your Indian marks to Indian or other any foreign educated credentials to your US standards, and then submitting it to FCCPT. You have your TOEFL scores that has to go directly to FCCPT. You do not require GRE for this process. Just TOEFL is important. But again, as I mentioned, TOEFL is very state specific. Some of the states will have different cutoffs for TOEFL, maybe in reading section or speaking section, and if you do not make that cutoff, you might not get that state licensure. So go and read up the websites of your states and understand their TOEFL requirements, and then work hard on your TOEFL, because TOEFL is one of the determining factors to have job in United States, because our profession is very communication based, and they need to make sure that a foreign trained PT can communicate with the patients here in US. So you would, as I was saying, you would have to submit your academic credentials from India, that is your ETS or VES. Then you have to submit all the mark sheets, your degree certificate, your um, syllabus, of course, your syllabus, your diplomas, your 10th and 12th mark sheets also sometimes, and everything has to be a true copy and notarized by the universities and sent directly. It can be air mailed or standardized shipped by the university, and that's why you need to start early. This is all very time consuming, and you need to start early on this process. Once they gain all these academic documents, then they will start your reviewing. They won't start your reviewing in mid, before submitting all these documents that they require. Once you finish the submission of all these documents, they will run the coursework tool according to the um, um, year of graduation. So the coursework is determined usually by the year at which you graduate, or it is very state specific. So at that level, they will evaluate you for the general and professional credits. And if you have any deficiencies, they will show you those deficiencies and you won't get your certification. But if you don't lack any deficiency, you get your approval for your FCCPT evaluation. And once you have your FCCPT evaluation, you can go to FSBPT website, that is Federation of State Board of Physical Therapy, which will allow you to book your NPTE exam or your National Board of Physical Therapy exam. This is your license exam. Now, NPTE is also very state specific. You have to choose only one state when you're doing your FCCPT evaluation. And for giving NPTE, you require either an AIN number or an SSN number. Now, SSN number is a unique number given to people who are working in United States. So if you don't have, if you're a student and you don't have a campus job and you don't have an SSN, you don't have to worry. On FSBPT website, there is an AIN number, and you can get that AIN number from the FSBPT website after you've done your background check and you're filling your forms. And that AI number will allow you to give NPT exam, which is very only for your exam purposes. You can't use that AI number anywhere else. It's just for your exam purposes. Now, NPT is again a very competitive exam. We all know. It's a prometric exam for 5 hours. It has 250 questions. It is very competitive and timed based. I already mentioned that NPT has every 5 years you have review of your questions, and the level of your NPT keeps increasing as your standards of practice gets updated in United States. You need a minimum of 600 on 800 for passing your license exam. And you just need to get cracking. You need to do whatever it takes for cracking NPT and even starting the FCCPT evaluation. Don't be a follower. There'll be a lot of people telling you a lot of things. Be a sincere student. Try to understand what people are saying. And US does a commendable job on writing everything on their websites. FCCPT gives you clear guidelines. Go and confirm that the website is requiring those things. Otherwise, people end up doing a lot of different things because people are saying, and a lot of time and a lot of money is wasted in this step. And usually people say that an FCCPT evaluation takes 6 months. But now I would say take at least 1 year time in your hand. And once you get deficiencies in your FCCPT evaluation, again you go back, say you go back like 4 to 5 months, gets delayed once you finish your credentials. So keeping all this in mind, you need to start early. Once your NPT is cracked, you are a licensed physical therapist in United States, and then you're starting to live your dream. NPT also is very state specific. You need to finish, after finishing your NPT, you become a licensed practitioner. But with that license of NPTE, you can't just go to a state. You have state requirements. So you need to go to the state website for PT, fill the application form, finish a background check. The state would require you to give a law exam, which can be a prometric or an online exam. The state, as I already mentioned, will have TOEFL specific scores, and you need to have those TOEFL scores. Even if your FCCPT might have accepted your TOEFL, you might have to reapply for TOEFL, get those specific scores, and give it to the state to get to work as a physical therapist in that state. Few states like Arizona, Washington, Boston, I think so, they have very high cutoff. So you should read the websites well. Then you have some state specific exams. These exams would not be very difficult for you to crack. And once you finish all this, then your state will give you a state licensure, and then you are eligible to practice as a licensed physical therapist in the specific state.
Akila, can you touch upon CLEPs? Like, I think you have done the CLEPs from India. I think CLEPs comes into the picture when there are some deficiencies in your application, right? When you're applying for FCCPT.
Correct.
And if Mansi can give us a view about how to complete CLEPs in the USA. So yeah.
Unfortunately, when I did, there were a few agencies, and I had I can say that I got burnt a couple of times. I just did a trial and error method, and I unfortunately don't have a very specific answer for doing CLEPs in India. But one punch rule or a so what are general credits? Basically, general credits are your basic collegiate degrees, like maybe physics, mathematics, your for a language which is not your native language, maybe Spanish or German, some additional add-on collegiate level skills. If you can get that even from India, but it is from an accredited university. Don't do it from any university. If you're getting a degree from an accredited university, maybe like if you're doing a computer science course, maybe you just wanted to do computer science initially before becoming a physical therapist, that will also give you a lot of general credits. And if it is from an accredited university in India, you can then send that university transcripts and syllabus to WES, and then WES can convert that into a credit score. And then if that general credit score is given to FCCPT, it will be valuable and accepted. And US also has a lot of opportunities for CLEPs, and Mansi can cover that.
Yeah, so the way CLEPs work is there are different sections. There's sections of human sciences. So it's like sociology, psychology. There's mathematics. So you have algebra, geometry, logic. Then there's sciences and all of that. So go up on the website for FCCPT, see in which domains are you deficient. And then depending on your deficiencies, which will be listed on the FCCPT report, you may have to take one or two subjects from each section. So in all, it amounts to about, when I did it, you probably end up taking like 6 to 7 extra exams, because our college is only 11th and 12th standard. So we only have 2 years as opposed to the standard American of 4 years. So because of that, then you end up taking, like, you can choose whatever you want. You also want to remember that if you fail a CLEP from one domain, you cannot retake that same subject for another 6 months. You have to take another subject from the same domain or wait for another 6 months. So choose your subjects wisely. Choose subjects that don't require a lot of studying, because you are not going to have time for that. And then depending on that, it's always advisable to take like a couple of extra exams just to give yourself a little buffer. Say for some reason, a subject from a particular domain was not accepted. So that is how you can do. You have to manage it with your masters, because you want to stick in the timeline where you're not wasting your OPT time after you've graduated. So you get your job and licensure process started immediately after you graduate.
So I have put in reference for your CLEP College Board in United States, the first reference, which gives you general credits, and each exam may be around $85, if I'm right. So I start collecting CLEPs when you're in your bachelor's or master's, and that's it. And the general credits, there is no hard and fast rule for which general credits you should be choosing. I would say that ask your seniors or ask the people who have followed that path, and especially from your own university, because then your syllabus and their syllabus would be matching, and then they can guide you better that if they had to do some specific extra education, and if you would also benefit that from that form of education, and is that what you're looking for to add in your skill set.
Perfect. I think that answers us about the CLEPS part. And now, Mansi, we would
Mhm.
like to hear about the OCS certification. So, how to go about it and the vestibular rehabilitation program that you have done specifically.
So, just to start off with, there are multiple certifications that one can pursue. For the most part, American Board of Physical Therapy Specialist is one of the largest certification body. They offer certifications in specialist certifications in multiple domains: orthopedics, neurology, cardiopulmonary, geriatrics, women's health, to name a few. ABPTS, you can just Google them and go on their website and find a list of your list of certifications that they provide. There are other certification bodies like NIOM, which is National Association of Orthopedic Manipulation Physical Therapy. It's a very extensive program as well. There is COMT, Certified Orthopedic Manual Therapist, so on and so forth. So for due to the scope of time that we have and sake of this discussion, we'll focus mostly on the ABPTS offered courses, which is OCS that I pursued. The criteria stay same for everything: OCS, NCS, all of that. You need to have 2000 clinical hours. You need to have worked as a physical therapist and have evidence of 2000 clinical hours in the field of specialty that you want to pursue your certification in. So if you've been an orthopedic physical therapist, you need to have 2000 working hours as with orthopedic patients. Roughly, that approximates to about 3 years of clinical experience. So if you have 3 years of clinical experience, you are 99% eligible to take this exam. So there is an application process where you put in your application, send them the initial application fee. They will review your application. They will verify your hours that you have worked. And then they will get back to you saying that, okay, you are now eligible to sit for this exam. And then you have to pay the remainder of your application fee. After that, so typically, if you want to sit for an exam, you have to start a year in advance. So if you want to take the exam, it's a little too late for the next year, but if you want to take the exam in February 2022, which is usually when it is applied, you will have to start this process in July 2021. So what you have to do, you provide that information, they will contact your supervisor, so on and so forth. After that, once you get the green signal that you are allowed to sit for the exam, that's when you start with the studying for this exam. Studying for OCS is very different, or NCS is very different than studying for your NPTE. What OCS basically will do is it's going to ask you questions regarding anything and everything related to the field of orthopedics that has been in the literature until 6 months of your exam. So from the start of physical therapy, I mean, that's an exaggeration, but go back at least last 5 years. Whatever has happened in the world of orthopedic physical therapy in the last 5 years can come on your exam. There are also some questions and some parts of the exam that are designated for like medicals, imaging and medical diagnosis, referring out of a phase, red flags and all of those things. So there is a very large syllabus that you have to cover. Fortunately, there are services that you can utilize. There are prep programs that are available online, which if you pay a fee of about $300 to $500, you have access to that coursework and articles and things that you have to read. Then after that, once you take the exam, which is very similar to your NPTE exam, it is about the maximum time you can take to finish that exam is 7 hours. It's again a 250 question based multiple choice exam. You have the exam divided into 4 different sections. You cannot go back to a section after you've finished it. So once you're done, you're done. And the scoring is based on relative scoring. So what they will do is they'll pool the results from everybody, determine how everybody else has done, take out the questions that everybody has done poorly on, and then scale your score to that. So your pass and fail doesn't only depend on how you did on that exam. If everybody else did better than you, then your chances of passing go down. If everybody did worse than you, then you're definitely going to pass. Once you get the certification, it is not the end of it. So it's usually a 10-year certification that you get. They have recently changed what the criterias are to maintain your certification status. Every third, sixth, and ninth year that you are certified, you have to do a bunch of things and provide a bunch of information, which again, it's beyond the scope of this conversation right now. Which you have to do to maintain your certification. And then at the end of the 10th year, you take the exam again if you wish to continue with your OCS or NCS certification. So that is OCS. It's a good tag to have to your name. Helps you open opportunities if you're interested in pursuing teaching, like not as a full-time professor, because for that you definitely need to have a PhD. But if you want to go in as a guest lecturer, if you want to be associated with a nursing school that teaches them about body mechanics things and so on and so forth, it's a good way to introduce yourself into the process. It is a tremendous learning experience. You review information that you never reviewed after while you were in school. So it's a beautiful, beautiful way to change your way of thinking, to enhance and improve your practice. And it really makes you realize what are things that you can do better as a clinician to help your patients. Remember, it is also very expensive. So you want to probably do it with your employer sponsoring some money for that. So when I got hired, that was something that I spoke to my employers, that this is one of my professional goals that will improve your value as a clinic if you have a certified specialist. So they were ready to bear some cost for that exam. Coming to vestibular rehabilitation, there are again multiple certification bodies. The two ones that are most popular is American Institute of Balance, and then there is, which is slightly less extensive and less expensive. And then there is another one which is offered by Emory University, which is incredibly hard. It is incredibly expensive and very, very, very taxing. The AIB, it's pretty straightforward. You have to take their 2-day course. At the end of the course, you have to take an exam. You pass that exam, which is an exam that you take at home. So it's an open book test. Once you pass that exam, you get a certification, which is good for 2 years. And then every 2 years, they'll send you some bunch of stuff like articles and stuff to read. And then you have to take another exam. And then that helps you keep up with your certification. The one with Emory University, it is a very exclusive program. They only take about 10 people per year into that certification process. It is a certification that is good for the rest of your life. It's a 7-day extensive thing, where at the end of it, you have 3-part exam. You have a written exam, you have an oral exam, and then you have a practical exam. So it's very hard to get in. They usually have a wait list for at least 4 years before you can get into that exam. Yeah. And then it's super expensive. So it's about, I want to say it's close to like $5,000 just for that, not to include the staying cost, because you have to go to Emory University. So you have to stay there for 7 days and then do that course there. So that is, I would recommend that if you are sure that you want to dedicate the rest of your life only for vestibular and just you're working in a research oriented clinic, it's a good option to consider. Otherwise, AIB is very good.
Thank you. So that was really good. We came to know about the licensing procedure, how it is, FCCPT, CLEPs, and also OCS and the vestibular certification.
Can we go ahead and take some questions now?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
So, is there any state which doesn't require CLEPs?
To my knowledge, no. It's not so much a state requirement as much as it will be an FCCPT requirement. Okay. So if you don't clear FCCPT, you just can't apply for a state. That's.
I think so. There is no, as Mansi said, even to the best of my knowledge, there is no states, but few states have lesser credential required compared to the other states. Some credits might not require all the 60 general credits, or might just require few, so that becomes easier. And then I didn't speak about NY evaluation, that is New York evaluation, which again their general credit, they don't use CWT coursework. They have an entire different coursework, and you can do NY evaluation the academic requirement is lesser than the other states. But if you are and you can easily get an NY license, but if you get if you're licensed practitioner in an NY state, you need other form of credentials to practice in other states and vice versa.
Okay, great. Can license be transferred from one state to the other?
Short answer, yes. Long answer, there are processes that every state has to follow. Again, when you decide to move, contact the state federation for the particular state that you're moving, ask them what their requirements are, and then you can start that process. You don't have to take the NPTE again. Just know that. You just can do a straight transfer. Once you're licensed for the rest of your life.
Okay, great. What is the scope of sports in USA? Any certification, like how you mentioned about OCS, NCS, any certification for sports?
So yes, sports is a pretty big field here. Again, depends on what kind of setting you are in and what state you are. Every state, if it's a popular state which has a great football team, you're probably going to have more sports-based patients there. There are again certifications. There is an CSCS, which is a conditioning and sports certification specialist. So you can take that. There are multiple others, like for volleyball and basketball players, there's something called as sports metrics. So yeah, the scope for sports is tremendous. And whenever you choose to pursue that, a simple Google search will give you
and there is
ACSM,
that is for sports specialization.
Yeah.
And some of the master's program for exercise physiology or kinesiology will have a direct relationship with that sports body, and you can find that on their website. So if you're pursuing sports, do research on that.
Perfect, thanks. Okay, so the last question for this part is it necessary to study or come on a education perspective, or you can directly do your license after your bachelor's from your home country?
Again, depends how you're planning to come into the country, right? Like if you have a partner who's already there, they're going to do your dependent visa and then give you that employment authorization, then yeah, sure, you don't need to spend that extra money. You can come over here, just take the license and then start working right after your bachelor's. But there are very, very, very few companies that will allow you to just take your license and provide you with a job. The biggest aspect to that is when you apply for your work visa, you will fall in a different category. There is a separate category for people who have had masters in higher education, and then there is a separate category for people who are only doing bachelors. So that will heavily impact your visa prospects. So you will be in the category which is only for bachelors and not in the category which is for masters. And not a lot of companies do that kind of outsourcing. So you can do it, it won't guarantee you a job.
Okay, I missed one question actually. So one question is about that, there were a lot of things spoken about that DPT is required for licensing exam right now. So is it true, or you can still give your license exam on your bachelor's, or do you require master's or DPT as a prerequisite to give NPTE?
I think they do require either a master's or a TDPT. They are, if you've already been licensed on a bachelor's or a master's, you're safe, but they are trying to eliminate that process completely and make DPT the gold standard.
As Mansi correctly said, there is no rule that you require a master's beforehand. If you're just applying for a job, bachelor's is more than enough, but you have to finish your credential reviews.
Yeah.
The newer generation students, you would require DPT, but if your graduation year is like 2014, 2015, there are a lot of state works which will accept your master.
Yeah. So it depends on your time. I would say if you're planning to come here for a master's program next year, rethink your decision. See if there's something else that you can pursue instead of just a straight up master's.
Can I even add one point about the health HCWC, that is Healthcare Worker Certificate, which is required for people who are opting for a worker's visa, that is either an H1B, or if they require sponsorship for EB2 or EP3 category. Again, I'll just throw in a disclaimer that I'm not a career counselor. You need to go through a career counselor to get adequate information. HCWC is just a certificate which is required prior to your workers visa application. And for HCWC, you need a post-professional degree. That means you require a master's to get a master's or a higher degree than bachelor's for getting an HCWC, and you require CWT coursework 6 to finish your HCWC criteria, and you need to review or revive your HCWC every 5 years. So if you're going to be staying on a worker's visa, you require HCWC, and that might require a master's program. So just an add-on. Let me just add one more thing for all the students. I think so. You can reach out to something called as FCCPT. This is a US. It's an organization which helps you in collecting your credentials. It can give you just. It's a good platform for just understanding where you are, and it will help you to collect. Your entire all your steps for your NPTE or license preparation or credentials.
Okay, that's a good tip from Akhila. Thank you so much. And that's what all it was about the licensing and credentialing procedure in the United States of America. Thank you so much. It was very robust. You touched upon all the parts. Having you guys share your personal opinion and your personal experience with us, thank you so much. And this was our second webinar regarding USA. And the third part will be about working, because both our friends over here, Mansi and Akhila, are working there. So they will talk to us about how it is like working in the United States of America. So don't go. We will be coming with our next webinar very soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.